Hello, ladies and gentlemen, to Two Seething Boomers, episode 9.
Episode 9, Two Seething Boomers. What are we mad about today?
And
I'm mad that I messed up the intro because I don't know how to talk right.
you're good.
That's why I'm
You're,
talking.
you're perfect. You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
Is that we're almost in the double digits, Duke.
Almost.
One more.
Oh, when is Street Fighter gonna get into the double digits?
Tomorrow.
Street Fighter 10.
Street Fighter X.
Oh, it's gonna be terrible. I'm gonna hate it.
You're gonna love it. It's gonna be a one-button game.
A one-button game. Yeah, you're gonna use Neuralink.
all the combos are gonna be made up on the fly. It's gonna be Neuralink
Yep.
fighting each. Oh, I thought you were gonna
It's gonna be
grab me,
amazing.
but you didn't grab me, so hit you with my 80% damage combo.
For some reason that I don't drop.
The game has not changed at all. Anyway,
Then again, what do you? I thought you needed a strong Wi-Fi connection for the Neuralink. I don't know. Let's move on now.
you gotta recharge it. You gotta put your brain in the microwave. That's what the guy was saying. He was playing Civilization for like 8 hours or something, and he had to like.
That man needs to execute himself.
What?
You know, I'm scared of the future.
What? Like a handicapped dude, man.
I'm scared of the future, man. That guy's gonna be manning drones for war. Oh,
He's gonna be Skynet, all one man.
all one man for Skynet.
Got bored of playing Civ 6 and he went. He's like, I want Civ 6 for real.
Yeah.
Civ 7
All
for
right,
me.
man. What are we talking about today? What are we gonna talk about?
Today we're talking about Mena RD screaming behind this. This guy is screaming behind Mena RD. What is he doing?
What is he doing?
I don't know.
What is he screaming behind the RD?
Look at him.
Click on it. Let's see.
Oh my god. I don't want to click on it. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. What's he doing? What are they doing?
That's Chris Tartarian
Too close, man.
screaming at the top of his lungs, man. Team Bandits, baby. Let's go.
They cropped out the bottom of this picture. I don't know what's going on.
Oh man.
Yeah, what do you want to scream about today?
Well, it's funny that you bring up Chris Tartarian. He recently had a interesting conversation with Reinhardt, and what I mean by recently is because people were talking about a tweet that Alex Valle did that blew up on Twitter this past weekend, and he spoke with Reinhardt. I want to say 2 weeks ago.
No, it was like 2 months ago.
Starting up, it was 2 months ago. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Look at that. We're late. Everybody's late on this conversation. This is
Yeah.
interesting. So we're fake mad. Everybody's fake mad.
Well, it's rare that episode 1 of a podcast is good. So, it was an interesting conversation.
Yeah, he was a really interesting conversation. He was pointing out that he feels, or maybe this is a general consensus among top players, and they don't want to say it, as a means to protect their paycheck, that they feel that the games today are made with accessibility in mind, but not as a way that you would expect it, for you as the player, because you've been robbed of certain tools of engagement. And they're asking themselves, are the games today easier versus what we had available in the past, where dexterity was taken into consideration? There was some level of guessing or skill-based guessing, as I like to call it.
Can I just stop you for a moment and go back to that thing you were saying where it's
Oh yeah, of course.
You said they were removing what was the word you used? Tools, but it's not just tools. They've removed effectively strategies as a whole. So like if you think about going back to the Civ 6 example, in Civ 6 you can do multiple types of victory. You could do technology victory, you could do culture victory, you could do warfare victory. There's religious victory, and I think there's one other one. that I'm missing. But there's a whole bunch of strategies within Civ 6 that allow you to take the game on in different approaches, and build your cities in a different way, focus on different things, just play the game differently, have different strategies, and from those different strategies you get a game that is uh, it's a varied game, and you have to think about multiple things at once. You have to think about scout your opponent. What are they doing? What do they want to do? What do I think they want to do? Are they, I don't know the game too deeply, but like just from that, base example, I can go into like what types of things would happen in that game. And the same can be said for, a fighting game. If we're both playing a fighting game and the zoners aren't zoners anymore, the grapplers aren't grapplers anymore, the rushdown characters aren't rushdown characters anymore, mid range characters aren't mid range characters anymore. What do we have? If everyone plays the same, you're effectively
Yes.
removing strategies as a whole. No longer does Dalzim, want to keep you away. Now Dalzim wants to get in. No longer does Zangief want to grab you. I mean, this is a different example because Zangief in 6 still grapples, but I don't even know if he's good or not. But essentially, it's
No,
like
he's pretty up there.
Zangief, maybe he wants to do more pokes into slime, into blah blah blah, and then combo EX Lariat into his level 3. Like that's you're
Yeah.
getting away from what the essence of Zangief and like T-Hawk were in Street Fighter 2. And it's like I said, it's not just tools being removed in general. It's like this, it's much bigger than that. It's like it's a symptom of that symptom becomes like a whole problem of how the game works essentially. Like if you look at Marvel 2, like which you know a lot about, it's like what if every character was Magneto?
Oh, Jesus Christ. On paper, according to Mike Z, they would all play dog shit, believe it or not.
Yeah, go
Because
into that.
I recently met Mike Z. I won't talk too much about it, guys. We'll hopefully do another episode, wink, wink. But he pointed out that Mike Z, that Mike Z on paper pointed out that Magneto, as a character, if you really write down everything that Magneto does on paper, the character fucking sucks. Why? Because he doesn't have a reversal. The moment you're on top of Magneto, that's pretty much it. It's a done deal. Now, let's take a step back. Why does Magneto play the way he does? It's because of Psylocke. It's because of the assist type that allows him to get into the ROM Infinite, to apply pressure, even certain defensive options, so you're able to get out of certain situations. That's why Magneto plays the way it does. It's because of the strength that he has gained with Psylocke. Psylocke becomes his Shoryuken. Psylocke becomes his Hadouken. Psylocke becomes his Tatsu. Psylocke is the variable that you need to take in consideration on the screen as you're playing when you're trying to engage with the opponent. Because the moment the assist comes out, you can either block or take the hit. And if you take the hit, it's most likely going to guarantee you that you lose that character and eventually lose the game. And it's funny to me because I never thought about this. Because people always say, oh, Magneto is the most broken character. I mean, yes, but let's keep this in mind. Do you have the dexterity to keep the combo going? Can you do over 100 hits of ROM? Do you actually know all the advanced combos to do the mix-up and guarantee that you land it? Not just that you do the mix-up and then the opponent blocks, so you don't even get the reset damage. It's a lot of things that you have to take in consideration. And now with the games today, it's almost as if they put all those tools together as one. So is too much accessibility bad?
I mean, I want to approach this from accessibility. To me, like a lot of people might think about that and think about it either in a very positive way or a very negative way. And positive in the way that, okay, you're letting more people in, the game gets to have a bigger audience, more people get to play it and enjoy the game. Okay, sure. To counter that, I'd say how many of those people are going to stick with the game? If you do make the game simpler overall, how many people are going to stay around, learn the more complex things, learn the strategies? Like how many of those people will stick around? So you do have to take into this consideration that if you do make the game easier, you possibly, this isn't always the case, but you're possibly making the game uh, worse for the people at the top level or the people at the mid level. So, for example, I recently got into King of Fighters 15,
Yeah.
and in King of Fighter 15, there's an auto combo button where you
I wasn't
press
aware of that
where you
actually.
press light attacks. If you press three light attacks, you'll get the auto combo. If you press the light attack a fourth time, you will do the strongest move you have. So you'll do a level three max super, level two max super, uh, level one max super special move, or special move, right? But if you do light, and then light kick, then you'll get a special move. And if you do, like, there's different combinations, but it starts with light. But that also doesn't exist. Like, that button command doesn't exist in a way that, uh, like, for my character, like, I can't actually do light. It would be light and then a move that only exists in this auto combo, right? So now
Yeah.
to access those moves, I have to do the auto combo. And me personally, I feel like I'm not learning some parts of the game because I'm relying on this auto combo thing. Whereas
Yeah.
maybe what I should be doing is doing light into max mode instead.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if at a higher level this takes away some part of the game because I'm not at that level, and it would take me years to get to that level, or at least a lot of practice and understanding and research. But so anyway, that's like the aspect of making the game more accessible, right? So then the flip side of that is making the game harder, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about this as we go along. I'm trying to
No, because believe it
formulate
or
my own
not,
opinions almost in a way.
another game that Mike Z pointed out that was actually super easy but very, very difficult to fucking play, believe it or not, and it was a one button game. If you really want to get down to it, Blaze Blue Tag Battle.
Uh huh.
Because you got to remember that game was all auto combos. I believe it was maybe a three button game, maybe one or two,
I think it was
and you
two.
had to
It was A or
yeah,
B.
and you had to yeah, and you had to use certain directions.
Uh
You
huh.
had to move the stick in certain directions. So if you wanted to go into neutral and go into your neutral, like you couldn't just dash the whole entire period. You had to literally just leave your stick alone because if it takes that input, it's going to come out as another move.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
And that's
I don't know
that's
if the
part of
developers
where,
intended that.
but that's part of where I was saying, like, when you make the game easier, you're potentially making it worse for people at a higher
Yes.
level. That's part of it.
No, that's definitely a part. That's a big part of it, and it's an issue. Another one that comes to my mind is with Street Fighter 6 when everybody was complaining about the drive rush input. They felt that going forward twice was too hard. Actually no, it was too easy. They were getting drive rush by mistake, and they felt that it was better to push a button instead. But then you had other people that felt pushing a button was too easy because now they were getting parry instead of a hard drive rush, or instead of doing parry they would get the drive rush. So
You
it was a double-edged
you
sword.
said something interesting about this like a couple weeks ago, where you were saying like you effectively can't buffer parry from normals anymore now
Yeah, you can't
because you'll just
because you're,
get
you're
drive
trying to
rush,
do yeah, you're trying to do moves and everything, and if you press parry, you're gonna go into a drive rush because your normal cancels into drive rush.
which is effectively they removed a part of the game effectively from that.
It's interesting that they're giving the players so many options now, and it's almost as if it's creating dishonest matches.
So
And
here's the I want to just finish up my point from what I was just trying to wrap up.
no, yeah,
My
yeah.
brain just reconnected the thing I was getting to. So
All right,
that
that's it.
then you have uh like a game where you make things harder than they need to be. So for example, I feel like accessibility is good if it doesn't interrupt anything else. So, for example, like let's say you're playing a fighting game like Guilty Gear or
Yeah,
KOF, and your input motion for your super is like half circle back, and then quarter circle forward, or up forward, up forward, down forward. And it's like, okay, like, that's kind of a cool input, for certain things, maybe like instant air tatsu, instant air hadoken, and like your super inputs or whatever. But at its core, if you made it a little easier, are you taking away anything from the game? Like if you made a double quarter circle forward, are you taking anything away from the game? Or if you made it like, it does add the execution barrier, like the skill level, obviously it increases, but for me, like, I care more about, is is it is it more difficult than it needs to be, is my main thing.
I think what happens is that you're ultimately learning a new language and you're trying to incorporate it with the language you're already familiar with. And there's a conflict obviously there. You can't just pick up Japanese,
Yeah.
learning English is going to be a lot more harder. You got to learn the katakanas and everything else. Uh, so it's almost alien like, these legacy style controls. This is why a lot of people were saying, oh, Dragon Punch input is too difficult. It should be down down. You know, why are we stuck to these ancient techniques? We live in a modern era.
Well,
We should be playing a modern style fighting
the
game.
more you go down that line,
That's what the
eventually,
argument becomes.
the more you go down that line, eventually you do reach the one button super, which is a problem. Like,
Yes.
you don't want to go too far either.
Yeah. And I think that also has to deal with people looking at 3D fighting game notations versus 2D fighting game notations. A lot of Tekken is just basically 4 buttons and obviously a directional input, but you're not necessarily doing dragon style inputs or quarter circle motions, half circle motions, triangle style motions. No, I think the only actual motion they got in it, I think, is for Kazuya. I think it's just the dragon input. That's it. Funny enough, but other than that, nah, that's it. It wasn't until like the later games, they started putting in the other shit. But in the beginning, no, like they still had a legacy input, and now, yeah, I think that's going to be a big issue where, I mean, we're almost seeing it now with modern controls, which Street Fighter 6. You have one button for Hadouken, one button for Shoryuken, one button for Tatsu. You have your parry button, and then you have your two super buttons in the back. And then obviously you'll have one button that does the auto combo into everything else.
And the
And
thing,
there's some people that they're more comfortable like that. But let me finish this real quick. And
yeah,
I think the reason why that controller layout exists is because oh good lord, Sakurai, because of everything that he was able to accomplish with Super Smash Brothers.
right.
You know,
But
and that game is technical in itself. But that game is also hard.
yeah,
People think that game is easy. That game is not fucking easy at all. Like Melee at its core is a very, very technical game. The newer games are a lot more easier, but now they're trying to mimic Melee. So there's some people that felt that now that's another up in air topic I don't want to talk about. I'd rather have Jose here.
but
But
the thing I wanted to say about that, where you're saying like the one button Hadouken, one button Shoryuken, is that like
yeah,
it in Street Fighter 6, the one button Hadouken, the one button Shoryuken aren't even as strong as they would be if it was Street Fighter 2. Like if it was Street Fighter 2 when you had a one button Hadouken, one button Shoryuken, that would be insane. In Street Fighter 6, it's
Jeez.
not as crazy because you're not really doing Hadoukens like that, and you're certainly not doing Shoryukens like that unless you're like, if we go into like anti-airing, like, sure, like, because most of the special moves in Street Fighter 6 are literally just like deep combo fodder.
I think that has to do with how they dealt with DPs over time. You know, I won't include Third Strike, but it deals more with Street Fighter 4. To me, I felt DPs were really strong, especially as a wake up option and everything else. And there were certain people that would wake up with jab,
Uh-huh.
and then go into DP, blah blah blah, and then go into Ultra. Uh, Mind you, I'm a novice in Street Fighter 4. Way
Wake up
more than
jab
me.
is kind of risky, but sure.
Yeah, no, yeah, but they still do it. Like I mean, I've seen it in matches, but
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously in Street Fighter Five, you couldn't just do Shoryuken. They completely nerfed it. It was terrible. It was a terrible option.
I mean,
You were better off
people
doing
think
a
you can
normal one.
now because Crush Counter doesn't exist, but they literally just rebranded Crush Counter and didn't talk about it. It's
Yeah,
still in the game.
yeah,
You still get Crush
it's
Counter
still in
for
the game.
doing a deep for blocking a DP or whatever. And it's like, well, people the argument they have for that is, well, why are you doing a DP in neutral anyway?
Oh
And
God,
I
here
don't.
we fucking go.
It's like you've effectively removed part of the game. Like DP was already unsafe anyway. Like, oh, but
Yeah,
I don't want to watch Pumko doing 8 DPs in a row. And it's like, do you know like the amount of like let's call it bravery you need to be able to do that in a match? Like that's an
yeah.
insane level of like just like I don't give a fuck right now.
Not only that, but when I think of
It's part of the mind
certain
game.
moves being thrown out, yes, the mind game and also the meter building. You don't see much meter building in games anymore. And when I think of meter building, I think of Marvel 2. The fact that they had to continue pressing the buttons, the dash in, the dash out, as you're throwing out Magneto. Yeah, yeah. Like the devil, yeah, that was just the Magneto one. Yeah, like you have to build meter. That's important in the game. If you don't have meter, you can't finish the opponent off. Now they've made it so where it's very difficult to beat and build meter. Actually, no, that's not true because in
Oh,
Street Fighter
the
Six,
meter builds itself.
yeah, it builds itself. You just grab and it builds meter.
You
You're
get
already at half a meter,
you get grabbed, you get a bunch of meter. You block, you get a bunch of meter.
bunch of meter. Yeah,
You're
it's
in
just,
your combo building meter. And,
but you
I
don't
said
get.
this 2 weeks into the game. I'm like, this. There's way too much meter building in this game. This is like insane. You're gonna see level 3 like every round. If you get
Yeah,
perfected in
but
this
you don't
game, you
build it
get
through
level
normals.
three. You get level 3 super.
Oh yeah, automatically next round. Yeah, if you get perfected, yeah,
Well,
that's a
it
guaranteed
depends on what
combo.
happens in that match. Like if there's a drive impact, if there's a grab, if there's a parry. Like it depends. Like how much you block. But it's not hard to have that happen. Not hard at all. It's not hard for that
Mm.
outcome to happen. If you get perfected, you'll have 3 bars going to the next round. And it's intentional. They want it like this.
It's the excitement that they're trying to fabricate. You know,
It's like
look at the comeback.
all these years of like people like bitching about comeback mechanics, and it's like they sneak them in, and it's like oh, it's fine
They're
now
sleeping in.
because
Yeah.
it's this super like it's fine. It's like no, it's like that's the same thing as ultras. Essentially, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's just terrible, man. All this tools at your disposal, and I think what happens with that is another topic Ryan Hart was talking about is like you have all these tools at your disposal and everything, and
Here's Ryan Hart versus PR Balrog.
oh, beautiful match,
So
guys, and
I do want to say one thing too about accessibility before you move on to something else. Is that I
no,
want
this
to
is going to be all a part of it.
I want to pose this question to you. Did one
All
frame
right, I'm
links
listening.
have
Tell
to
me,
exist? Do they make the
did
game
one frame links
do they
have
make
to
the game
exist?
better?
According to Seth Killian, they were a mistake and they just kept them because it made the game more interesting. And if they took them out, the game would have played a little bit similar to Alpha 2 or Alpha 3. And this is what he claimed. I would love to see that beta version of the Alpha 3 Street Fighter 4. I
Right.
would love to see that version. It does exist. He said it. Um, I don't know, man.
But not even the fact that the combos are possible because I think the combos being possible is cool. But I'm saying like the technical restriction of it, the execution element, it,
I'll allow it.
like does it did it need to be that hard to do one frame links?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because there were certain one frame links in Marvel 2, if I'm correct. And you also had to negative edge certain things.
Okay.
But I think this was like in the older games, if I believe. You know, so these styles of gameplay always existed. It's just that now some people feel that it's too difficult or something of the past now.
Right.
But like you said, they still find a way inside the game. You can't just take it out. It's always been there.
Well, what's
You know,
interesting, someone brought this up before, and I don't remember where it was, but they were saying that Street Fighter 4, there were players who were, yeah, it was Street Fighter 4. They were saying that there was players that were so good at execution that it was insane to fight them. People like Pepe Day with his Fuerte, people like
Yeah,
Wolfcrow,
yeah,
Sea Viper, and they were playing
yeah,
like kind of bad characters. But then you had someone like was Sakonoko, where he's doing like all these
yeah.
crazy like Kami, right? He was playing Kami, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Like all these
Kazunoko.
crazy. Oh, Ibuki too, I believe. Like Kami and Ibuki.
Yes, yeah.
And then you had other players
That
who weren't doing one frame links and were playing more like a simpler style. They didn't they didn't want to mess things up, or they didn't have that execution level, and they were still able to compete on the same stage essentially. Kind of
Gamer
interesting.
B8 on. What was it? Zian's Gen, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Who else? I mean that's one thing. That game had a wonderful cast of characters, and it was very diverse. I mean, obviously you had certain characters that were very overpowered than the others, but you
That's
still had
always
the
happens.
specialists.
Yeah.
You know that you still had the
That
specialists that were able to shine.
Ian, you used to poop on this game.
Yeah, I mean, I still do hate this game because this game was the mistake. They should have kept 2D. They should have stood in 2D. They should have never went 3D.
There's some real problems in this game, like the folk, but like the character expression and the player expression of this game, like you can't say it's not good in this game because it really is. There's a lot of ways players like what express themselves or whatever.
Yes, of course, of course. And
It's gone in Street Fighter
uh,
Five, Street Fighter Six. It's gone.
yeah, and then even top players like Punk was mentioning that that level of expression doesn't exist in fighting games anymore. It's just not there. It's very bland to them. It's interesting. And that kind of goes into like what I want to talk about because like I'm gonna keep asking, is too much accessibility bad? And the reason why I'm asking that now is because like let's talk about the social discourse, of the FGC. How we have the vocal minority, versus the voiceless majority. You know, because
We have to ask if those people have any impact on things we care about. Yeah,
yes, they do.
they're loud and stuff, but like it depends on the game, right? Because sometimes the developer will listen, sometimes the developer's like, yeah, nah. So it really depends, like, and it depends on what they want. Like, let's say they're arguing for things like tournament settings, like 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5, or if they're arguing for things in the game that they want to be changed, and then the developer goes ahead and changes it, or maybe they're like Fortnite or League of Legends, where they just switch up the meta whenever they feel like it.
And it becomes very problematic when you have the whole entire community coming together demanding changes. And I always say this: have any of them competed at least on a tournament level so they can make these complaints? Had they actually won? Or it's just their concern where they feel like, this is bullshit. This is the reason why I'm losing. You
Well,
know,
how can they win if they're complaining about things they're losing to?
but I always say this. We let's take into consider a matchup knowledge. Do you know your character's
Right.
actual buttons? The buttons actually work. You know, I mean, we now live in an age where, like I said, it's too much accessibility bad. We have all these YouTube videos now. It's not like I can't go on YouTube and find a guide on the character that I'm playing, but is the guy that's making the guide for the character that I'm playing actually knowledgeable? Or did he just spend maybe 3 hours on fucking training room and was like, okay, I need to make this YouTube video so I could get at least maybe 1,000 likes?
Yeah,
What's his interior motive? Is he actually trying to teach me how to play this fucking game, or am I gonna learn bad habits from this asshole?
as part of the
You know,
ecosystem, and it's like, if you give this information out, is someone going to come along and steal it and post it on their channel? And it's just like it's a poisonous cycle we're in right now.
yeah, and that's another big issue. Everybody's stealing each other tech. Everybody's trying to pretend that, oh, I was the first one that presented this.
You made
I'm the
this,
more
I made
knowledgeable
this.
one. Yeah, but why are we putting players on a fucking pedestal, and why are we picking and choosing what's actually useful? That's a big fucking problem in my eyes. It's a big problem. Everybody was putting Punk on a pedestal for Street Fighter 6. He did not win Capcom Cup, guys. Everyone said Punk was going. He did not win. He did not win. Everybody kept saying, "Oh, Cammy is broken." Cammy did not win Capcom Cup. They said Luke was broken. I still think Luke is broken. They just didn't figure it out yet, obviously, Luke did not win Capcom Cup, you know. Me. And now everybody realizes that DJ is actually a broken fucking character, because
Well,
everybody's been too busy paying attention to Blanca
you know,
and JP.
when you have a game and you have a bunch of top tier characters and there's someone who's not in the top tier, just slightly below, and then you nerf all the top tiers, that guy who's in the middle is all of a sudden really strong.
Really strong,
It's like if
exactly.
you took Third Strike
Exactly.
and you nerf Chun Li, you nerf Yun, you nerf Ken, you nerf Makoto. Guess who's on top now? Goki and Dudley.
Sean is. Nope, Sean is, bro, because
Sean.
Sean can bust both of those characters' ass.
Shut up.
You know how much damage Sean does against Goku?
You
Goki? Like, come on,
basically
man.
Ryu, Goki, and Dudley become top tier if you nerf those four
No, no,
characters.
no. Say it correctly. Sean, Dudley, and whoever else.
Disavow. I disavow what you're saying right now.
Yes, this is valid what
I
I'm
do
saying
not
right now.
agree with the opinions of my co-host.
Listen, if you actually know how to play Third Strike, you know how to play Sean. You know your fundamentals.
Well,
It's not that hard.
it's a game with a high skill ceiling, so Kuroda, not just
If you're intelligent enough to do it, you'll understand why I'm saying it and you'll agree with me. If you're a smooth brain, yeah, you're gonna pick Goki and Dudley. That's a smooth brain choice. But the Chad, the
well,
intelligent
don't
one, the
forget Yang.
intelligent
Sorry,
Chad.
Yang too.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another intelligent choice. That's a good character, also. Very good character.
But yeah, like this is the problem they had with DJ. I mean, like if I'm taking your word for it, and if it's actually true how that played out, that they nerfed JP, they nerfed whoever else, and now it's like, oh hell, hey DJ, did they nerf
Yeah.
me?
Now he's
And then you have this sort of thing in fighting games where it's like, if let's say I'm Dalsim, right? My
hmm
my standing medium kick is so strong that it beats it beats a lot of characters, right? Like it's too strong. It reaches far. It's fast, or whatever. And let's just say you nerf that, right? And it's like, oh, we didn't want him to be, to have that strong tool. And it's like you have a character, let's say DJ in Street Fighter Two, and now all of a sudden, like that move is so bad that DJ just counters him every time, and the matchup goes from being 5-5 or 6-5 in Dalsim's favor to being 3-7 not in Dalsim's favor. Like you have to be careful, kind of like when you designing a fighting game, like what you change, because things like that often happen. Where it's like there's so many characters in the game, there's so many different things that if you nerf one thing and all of a sudden the character doesn't have a tool to win matchups anymore.
I'll give you a perfect example.
Yes,
When I
please
was
do.
talking with Mike Z, he was mentioning that for the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 beta, and like this is on record, a lot of people have spoken about this. I believe Joe Zaza spoke about the beta, Spider Dan spoke about the beta, and obviously Mike Z and a couple of other of the old school players. And they were saying in the Marvel 2 beta, a lot of the level 3s were actually level 2s, and Shuma Gorath was able to get a free OTG off of Chaos Dimension. So people were already saying Chaos. People were already saying that Shuma Gorath was god tier. So when all the Capcom developers were over there, they was like, "Yo, we gotta nerf this shit." But what they didn't know is that apparently, Cable's Air Hyper Viper Beam Infinite was in the beta, and it slipped right past by. Like nobody figured it out. Nobody figured it out, I think, until year 2 or 3, how to properly do it, how to properly Tiger Knee it,
Viper,
and
Viper
and get
beam.
the whole loop into motion. So little things like that. You can't even trust, people at at a beta testing. Because they're not going to figure out everything. They'll be more adamant on this one option, and they'll completely forget the other cast of characters. It shows the bias. Obviously we want to win, so we're going to pick the top tier character. You know, some of us don't want to explore. Some of us don't want to learn. Some of us just want to fucking win, and that's perfectly fine. There's others that are just like, no, I want to be knowledgeable enough where if I'm going to win, I'm going to guarantee a win regardless of the setting, regardless of what character I play. I'm going to guarantee it. I'm going to will it into the air.
Will it into existence.
I'm gonna will it into the air.
Into the air. Okay.
But nah, yeah, little things like that. And I'm pretty sure another story I can tell you is with the original Street Fighter 2 beta testing in Japan. Zangief was far more stronger. And the story goes, I forgot the name of the Japanese player, but he had like 100 game win streak or something with Zangief. And he was beating everybody with
uh,
Zangief.
Nerf Zangief.
Yeah, yeah, and mind you, Zangief is still strong in Street Fighter 2. So what the fuck did they actually nerf? We don't know. We don't know what they nerfed, all right? But yeah, that's the story. That beta testing. Yeah, the guy went on a whole win streak with just Zangief. And mind you, you had Guile, you had Ryu, you had Chun Li, you had Honda, you had Dawson,
So,
but Zangief was the strongest. But wait, before I finish,
uh,
they nerf Zangief, and guess what happens? Dawson becomes God tier in that game. So it's very interesting, you know, how the timeline plays out.
so it what was I gonna say? Oh, give me a moment to read. Keep talking. I forgot what I was gonna
Oh,
say.
I mean, like I said, a lot of this has to do with the overall social discourse of the FGC. We have a vocal minority that's very fucking loud, and they're giving the developers the mix up, and they end up patching the game in a way where it brings the game down further. I always think back to Street Fighter 5 with what they did with Nash, and I think it was a fucking crime what they did to that character. They cut his legs off.
They cut his
Like
arms and
everybody
legs
said,
off.
they cut his arms and his legs off. They made him a fucking terrible character. It was the worst choice. And people said it. Right after that, everybody fucking dropped Nash. Who the fuck played Nash? Who played him? Nobody played him. They took away his tools. They stripped away the creativity of how to play the character because the vocal minority were crying, saying, I don't know how to adapt and fight this fucking character. I need you to make him unplayable. And that's what happened.
You'll these days you'll never have the situation where we talked about this on another episode where like the tier list changes over a span of 10 years dramatically. It's just not gonna happen.
No, that era is done. You know, like people said it when Marvel 2 first came out, that first week, Iceman was God tier. No chip damage. No chip damage. Don't forget that. Oh,
Block
I'm
forever.
blocking and I don't get chip damage. I'm blocking forever. Defensive option. Everybody started coming up with these defensive trap teams. It was what? Iceman, Blackheart, and fucking Doctor Doom. Yeah, people were picking Juggernaut, Iceman. People were just doing defensive options.
Beautiful.
There's like, oh, this guy doesn't. And that's why they keep saying it. Magneto didn't get fast until year 2 and 3. So this whole idea, oh, he's the best character in the game. He's God tier. They didn't even know it. They didn't even know it. And
Well,
please keep in
Duke.
mind that.
Well, Duke. Here's the thing. It's like now we have Twitter, so we would have figured that
Uh,
out after 2 days.
Twitter. What's Twitter? Don't you mean X
Sorry, we have
or
X.
whatever the
We
fuck
have
that
X
shit's
now. We
called?
have X.com. We have X videos on there. People posting their combos.
Some good combos in there, man. Some good combos.
We would have figured out Marvel 2 in a week. So
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm sure of it. All right. Yeah.
well, that's the argument. That's the argument that gets passed around when it's like
Yeah, that's the argument that's passed around now. But
even a game
you
like
know,
Street Fighter 6. As much as I hate it, as much as I dislike the game, I really if that game never got patched and it just existed for like let's say like 7 years or something, like I feel like eventually at some point you'd start seeing some Kimberlys. Am I
Kimberly will
wrong?
be a lot stronger. But they robbed her. Remember, they that's
Yeah, she
another
already
character
got nerfed.
that they patched. They nerfed her. And they said in the beta, oh, she's too strong. This is a fucking beta.
Remember
We're
those
just testing.
combos I was doing that I sent you? Like
Bro, those shits were top tier. I remember all that shit. That's why I
I
was
was learning those
angry with what
combos
they
and I was
did.
like, oh, this is cool. And then I played the base game and I was like, what happened? Wait, doesn't this work? And I had to load up. I had to load up the the Rice Krispies
Whoa, whoa,
version.
whoa.
I had to load up the
Yeah, we
Rice
don't.
Krispies version, snap crackle pop, and
Yeah.
I went back. I was like, oh, you can't do that combo anymore. They took that out.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we do not condone of piracy or any forms of downloading illegal versions of betas of some
What do you
sort.
mean?
We don't condone it at all. That was just a bit that we did right there. Please don't cancel us, Capcom. We need a check.
Yeah, please hand me a big fat check for $1 million. People talk about the $1 million that guy made. Nobody checks top eight. They made a lot of money.
They did good, yeah.
He was making like 3 or 4 bands, 7 bands.
Yeah, 7 bands, yo. That's listen, man. I'm not mad at that. Fuck it, I did it. But then again, when you take in all the traveling and all the food expenses, the hotels and everything else, it's just like, damn, I did this whole year of my tournament run, and this is all I got back for it. I
Maybe
mean,
maybe they covered some of their expenses. Hopefully, I don't know.
I don't know. I doubt it.
Like a premier event like that. I would imagine they do that for Dubai. They're like just flying out Koreans all the time.
Yeah, I think situation.
But anyway, we're gonna. What else did Mike Z tell you? Because you told me already some of this stuff, so I'm not as excited anymore. But when you first told me, I was like, my eyes were like wide open when you're telling me about Mike Z.
Oh my
I
God,
mean, you said
Mike
you wanted
Z.
to cover it another time when we can. So,
I'd rather cover it in another time. I'm still
hi,
coming down for it. The man is very, very knowledgeable when it comes to fighting games. That's the reason why, me and my co-host today, actually, I'm his co-host, why we chose to even
we're both
do this.
co-hosts.
We're both co-hosts. Jose's the main character here. But yeah, it's the main reason why we chose to have this topic.
Yeah, I've been waiting for
Waiting
this.
for
I
this
got the picture. All
picture.
right, that's cool.
It's cool. That's right. Yeah, it was the main reason why I wanted to talk about this episode because I asked him about the question, of what Chris Tartarian posed to Ryan Hart. And I asked him how he felt about it. And he told me straight up, he was like, yo, bro, I'm not even worried about the FGC right now. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But I'll tell you this, accessibility isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you do need to balance it out. You know, that's the main thing that he kept emphasizing.
So, another thing.
And
Sorry, finish your thought.
yeah, and this is going to the next part that I want to talk about also. Because it's getting to a point where I feel that a lot of the FGC technology is regressing. A lot of the tools at our disposal now to fight just doesn't work. You know, is it really that easy? Or am I too caught up with the legacy style of gameplay that I can't adapt? And I have adapted. I do have a high ranking in Street Fighter 6. I do play these other games at a high level. But there are moments where I ask myself, did I legitimately win this game? Did I actually outplay the player? Or was the mechanics of the game allowing me to fly by? It's just a thought. That's all.
You ever get the feeling
Because when I
that
look,
in Street Fighter 6, like if you had just gotten like more rounds, like a first to 10 or something, like you would absolutely destroy the person you're fighting?
I feel at this point within a game like Street Fighter 6, first to 10 should be the standards. I don't like the 2 out of 3 formats. I hate that they're arguing about the whole 4 out of 7 format. We have to do first to 10s. We have to end this shit. We were doing first to 10s back in the day, with our forefathers in the arcade days. We need to go back to the original standard. We keep disrespecting these people. We keep disrespecting the Japanese. All these people that laid the foundation for us, we keep disrespecting them. Talking about, yo, in 2 games, I'm the best. I'm better than everybody.
So,
no, first to 10. Show me if you really know this matchup.
Here's a perspective from Dota 2, which I played for a long time. The early versions of that game I'm really fond of. So here's the thing about Dota 2. Each game takes like 30 minutes to an hour, right? Right?
30 games?
No, each game takes like 30 minutes to an hour, right?
Okay, okay. Oh, I misheard you. I
Yeah,
apologize.
yeah.
Yes, about 30 minutes to an hour. That's correct.
So the thing that happens, like, and these guys do like best of two, best of three, depends on the tournament. I think it's normally best of two. I could be wrong. Like grand finals, probably like best of three, best of five. I mean, sorry, best of three, best of five. That's what I meant. And
Yeah.
uh, like what happens is the let's call it the people who are not tournament ready. Let's call them like the double A's of that scene of that competitive environment. They essentially don't really get many events to participate in. A lot of it is invitationals, even like smaller teams. So a
Yeah.
lot of what happens is like a lot of that community exists only on the matchmaking system. So when you start doing like a first to 10, which I'm all for, by the way, but what happens is those players who are not the Justin Wongs, who are not the Reinhardts, they don't have a place to go, and you might end up like killing your community because Dota 2 basically exists as like just a game people fool around in. Essentially, not many people, you know, take it too seriously, even at that very high ranking.
First to 10's that detrimental to the FGC?
No,
Holy
no, no.
shit.
Here's what I'm gonna say. Like I said, I would prefer like a first to 10 environment or first to five at the But the thing that needs to happen, and Reinhardt said this in that video, is that you need a place for lower players to compete, and you need a way that people are interested in that kind of thing. And when you look at Third Strike, a lot of the East versus West war, a lot of the players, they aren't that good all the time. Well, some of them clearly you can tell they're kind of new. So they create an environment where they're able to showcase talent, new talent.
And that does exist now. It's
You
not like
have yeah,
back
you
then
have the
where the old
local, you have the
we
local
had the
tournaments
old
and
guard.
stuff.
Yeah, you had the old guard that would like, basically keep you in check and everything. It was a lot more harder to level up. I will admit that. And now it's almost like there is no guard. Like I mean, people said Idom was the best in New York, but he got swept at the Red Bull Kumite, you know?
Or six.
Yeah, for six. He got swept, bro. He went 0-5. He didn't win not one match. Got eliminated, bro. It's terrible. But to
Ooh,
me,
look
it's
at the
just like, do
parry.
you
Oh, ow.
like this game is way more exciting because you have to know the matchup knowledge.
So
And it's not
so
it's not to say that doesn't exist in Street
he,
Fighter 6, because the game is still a baby. They're still
right.
learning. I'll give them that. They're still
So here's
learning.
the other
But
thing too is that when you watch like lower skilled players in a game like Third Strike, there's like rare chances where you're going to see them do something impressive, right? Is that the case with something like Street Fighter 6 where you're going to be like, "Oh, wow, he did, this crazy thing, this guy who's not that good."
the only thing that I've seen impressive so far was what Mena RD did to Punk at the Red Bull Comite. That combo that he did with Blanca, the only exciting thing. Because other than that, like you said, every character tends to play the same. So there is no real excitement,
Mhm.
you know? It's just there, you know? And it goes back to character creativity. I get my hit, I go into fucking drive rush. It's that simple. It doesn't matter if I'm a grappler. It doesn't matter if I'm a zoner. It doesn't matter if I'm a brawler. The moment I get my drive rush, I get my guaranteed combo. That's it. It's not about me going back and forth. That juking does exist in Street Fighter 6, but once again, we have the drive rush. So what's really becoming problematic, and a lot of these players don't want to say, it's just the drive rush. A lot of people have an issue with the drive rush. The same way people had an issue with V triggers. The same people had an issue with focus attack. And if we go back even further, the same issue that people had with parries. And that's why some people felt that by definition, Street Fighter 3 was not a street fighting game. It had parries. That should not exist. But we see now, that mentalities change. What's gonna happen? You know? Is the technology going to continue to regress? Are we regressing as players? Are they adapting better? What's the actual mentality that's going on? Very interesting now. You know, and I'd like the approach that they took, that they waited so long to finally patch this game, which I still think they shouldn't have done. They should have waited until Akuma was finally out. But I keep saying it, there's something that they're testing right now with Akuma that they don't like. And this is why it's taken so long to release the character. And I think it's something game breaking. And if they release Akuma in that state, everybody's just going to go to Akuma and they're going to kill this fucking game.
Well, like you said, I do appreciate the fact they waited 9 months or whatever to finish the game, but in a way also it feels too soon for me, and I feel like they should have waited the full year or the full season one characters out and fleshed out already.
I don't think anything got fleshed out. It's just like Mike Z was explaining to me. Everyone kept saying that an amnesia was really strong for JP. It's a really strong option. Everyone paid attention to JP. All right, they nerfed it. But now we have DJ, who's now all of a sudden stronger because they gave him some buffs. So now the DJ players are fucking happy as hell.
You know what's stupid about this is these developers, like they'll nerf a powerful tool from a character because it's too strong. But the whole point of each character is to be individually strong in their own way.
They corrected one problem and just made another problem. It was a false solution. They should have just gave them a placebo and made them believe that they fixed amnesia, But I don't know, man.
It's like I keep bringing up Dalsum, but like let's say you take Dalsum and you're like, oh, Dalsum, he zones too strongly, so much more than the other characters. We don't think he should zone as much, and let's cut his limbs off, or Zangief, he grapples too hard. Let's lower his throw damage, and it's like at a certain point, these characters stop becoming unique and they start becoming shades of gray.
Yeah.
If I could bring up Dota 2, the example again. Like, if we exclude the items, because the items, whatever, items are dumb to me, conceptual way. But if you look at Dota 2, like Anti-Mage is a character. When he hits you, he drains your mana. No other character does this. Is it broken for him to have that? No one else can do that. That's cheap, isn't it?
Maybe.
No one else can do that. Why is he allowed? Why is he
option.
allowed to do that? Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon makes clones of the enemy hero and can control them. No one else can do that. That's broken. Dazzle. Dazzle makes it so you can't die for like 5 seconds. That's broken. We gotta nerf that. No one else can do that. At what point do you have a game where the characters aren't characters? They're just literally just skins with slightly different moves.
I mean,
and this is why Marvel 2 is beautiful. Like, look at Sentinel. Sentinel's playing a completely different game than Cable is.
Oh, good lord! Don't get me started on that.
No, go ahead. Go get started on that. Go ahead.
I mean, because you have all the different styles. You have the
They're different characters at their core. They're functionally different in more ways than just he has a DP and his DP, the other guy's DP goes a little more further than the other guys.
Yeah. No, I know, but they don't want that level of character expression now. And if they are trying to do it with Street Fighter, they want you to restrict how you play now. They want both players to be able to take a turn now. They don't want you to get overpowered. And if you are to get overpowered and lose your turn, it's going to be a touch of death. So I don't really know how they were trying to solve the problem in that manner. It's almost as if they're going backwards. It doesn't even make sense.
Solving a problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. Like if these combos weren't so long, these characters wouldn't be dying so fast. Like I have not seen a timeout in Street Fighter 6 yet.
That is a very good point. Yeah.
And yet there were so many timeouts in Street Fighter Five that people said this game is bad. And I kept telling myself, how is that a bad thing? I think both players are being patient, The decision making, it's there. It's obvious. In Street Fighter 2, there were timeouts, you know? Maybe not in Third Strike because you had the parry option, obviously. So maybe it's not a Street Fighter game. But I keep meaning that, but who knows? Who really knows at the end of the day?
I mean, in a way, they created parries to solve the rigidity of Street Fighter 2 in a way.
I know it trivialized projectiles at that point,
It
and everything else.
trivialized a lot of things, but it created a mind game in within itself, which is, remarkable. And I don't mean remarkable as like amazing. I just mean that you can remark on it. But it's they wanted to essentially make it so you couldn't get locked in the tiger shot spam. They wanted to give you a way out, if things happen to be, kind of crazy.
And what always bothered me about that is that there was more than one defensive option of getting out of Sagat Tiger spam. You have Dawson who was able to slide under the high shots. You had certain characters that had invulnerability, so they were able to do a DP reversal and like go through the Tiger shot. I remember at one point, I've seen a match where this guy was using a boxer's headbutt to go through the fireballs and just advance. And it got to the point where he was in the corner with Sagat, and the guy couldn't do anything about it. He put himself in the corner because he kept just throwing Hadoukens all the time.
$1 million checkmate.
Yeah, the $1 million checkmate. That's a real million too. But see, that style of gameplay doesn't exist no more. Because it's like you think that that level of spamming will be rewarding, but instead, it's your detriment. It's your coffin. It's your sentence. That's it. You're a dog. Fuck that bag up, like they say and shit. It's that, like I said, that expression is gone now. It's just not there. And it's funny because in Street Fighter 6, you see it happen when they go into burnout, but that's because the intended mechanic now is to go into drive impact and now guarantee your stun. Where before, those random hits. Yeah, those random hits is just like, yo, if this guy hits me again with another heart, I'm gonna go into a stun and he gets a free combo. In Third Strike, you're paying attention to your meter. You're just like, yo, I'm about to get stunned. I gotta parry these next few hits, And even in Street Fighter 4, I remember people were just like, yo, if I don't focus attack this next thing, this is it. Like, that does not exist now. That doesn't exist in 6. It's just like, all right, I forced this guy to burn all his meter. Now I get the guaranteed checkmate. It's like, that's not fucking creativity, man. Get the fuck out of it.
This goes back to the accessibility thing. Like,
Yes.
the game has been, simplified in such a way that things that were important are no longer important. Things that you had to think about, you no longer have to think about. Now it's all just a reaction check.
Yeah, reaction check, unfortunately.
Which is fine, but what if I don't want to react to things? What if I want to play a long range game and zone you out?
What happens is that the understanding of what neutral was, or at least the considered definition, has been manipulated over time to
people
just
have
apply
so many different things to
what
what neutral is now. It's like,
yeah,
neutral just encompasses the whole game at this point. Like, oh, he whiffed the grab and I hit him. That's neutral. Or
that's neutral.
I got him in a frame trap. That's my neutral beat him. Or I jumped on him. That's my neutral. And it's like,
and I always
all those things,
myself,
can encompass some part of that, sure. But are we getting away from what the main idea is?
man, what's neutral? What's with punish? What's Oki? What's a meaty option? What's a setup at that point? Where's my reversal? All these terms, were developed after the fact, because it already existed in fucking Street Fighter 2, but they didn't know what the fuck it was. They were just like, yo, we don't know how we coded this shit, but for some reason before you wake up, you could do this. What do we call it? I don't know. They didn't put it in the manual. All of a sudden, a bunch of Americans in a fucking farm were like, "Oh, this is called a wake up," because as your frame begins and starts over to your standing position, there is a what is it? What is this? Like a frame? What is it? Like how fast is it? It's like a second or two where you could do like a move, right?
I think it also depends in that game. Isn't it like randomly it will work or something?
Yeah, and that's another thing too. And please keep in mind, we're just using Street Fighter 2 as an example. Third Strike is a whole nother fucking bag of worms. You know, but like, yeah, they didn't fucking know, man. Come on, like the fact that you can wake up Super in Street Fighter 2. That was there, but it didn't become a stigma until Street Fighter 4. You could wake up Super in Street Fighter 3, but it was an unsafe option. It didn't become a stigma until Street Fighter 4. A lot of these stigmas weren't created until Street Fighter 4. I keep telling people, the vocal
Well,
minority versus the voiceless majority.
so
There's a reason why I'm throwing that out there.
from a game developer perspective, right? Let's say I'm making a game. Let's say I'm making a fighting game, right? Or any type of game. And people from different skill levels, they chime in. And the people from the lower skill levels have a lot of misconceptions about how the game even works, right? They,
Yeah.
they, they, they might get a whole bunch of things wrong. So wrong that it's just, it's not even close to being any point of being true at all, right? But for the sake of, let's say I'm making a game, right? I can take what they're saying and try and figure out what the real problem is behind their complaint. Because if someone comes to me and says, drive, in this example, let's say drive rush is too strong in this game I'm making, right? And I have a drive rush in my game, and all the lower level players are complaining about drive rush. And it's like, okay, I can nerf drive rush, right? But what if drive rush in my game, I shouldn't have called it drive rush. Let's call it mayonnaise rush. And mayonnaise rush
Nah.
is, they're saying it's too strong. It's too slippery. There's white cream all over the screen. They can't see what's happening,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But it could just be a symptom of the real problem, which the real problem
Mm-hmm.
is the reward you get from mayonnaise rush.
Yeah.
And mayonnaise rush actually in a vacuum is actually fine. But that's what they're going to complain about because they see the guy turn white and slide across the screen and make a sandwich out of you. He's doing the bread and butter. He's got the mayo too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much. And they believe that's set play now.
But here's the thing: is that know nothing player, the scrub player, the bad player who makes these misconceptions, doesn't understand your game. They can still offer you criticism of how you can improve the game, but you can't take what they say at face value. And that's the same for people even at the top end of the skill spectrum, because they might say the same thing, and you have to dissect that as like a developer. And this is what
Yeah.
there was an interview with the people who made Killer Instinct, right? And they were saying like
Yeah.
I believe we brought this up on another episode actually. They were saying that Jago had this move that he could do in neutral, and then people were saying that Jago was too strong because of X and Y. And they sat down and they like actually tried to figure out what the actual problem with Jago was, and they figured out that he had something he could do in neutral that you essentially couldn't react to, and that the player on defense in neutral or whatever the situation was always afraid of that they were going to do this. So it made
Oh.
contesting him difficult. So what they did was that they
Yeah.
changed that move, and then all the matchups became like 5-5s.
But see, what you're also highlighting is that they were more than willing to work with the community, for a game like Street Fighter. It's more about like the popular voice.
But that's kind of what I'm
Yeah.
getting at. Like people are gonna complain all the time, right? They're gonna complain
Mm-hmm.
no matter what their skill level is. We're in the age of like everyone's online, everyone's adding in their 2 cents to the conversation.
Yeah.
But to say that that the low level players don't have a valid point to make, it's like in essence they might have a terrible opinion, but like what the actual meat of their problem is might actually be relative to the whole game in every skill level. You have to be able to dissect it and look at it in that manner.
I think another issue is that how can you try to really test these issues and not have a player bias attached? And I don't want to say that the developers had favorites, but what I'm trying to highlight is that for certain matchup in particulars, for all we know, it's just that these two players could have maybe an internal rivalry, and one feels that the other opposing character is stronger than his. You know,
Right,
so
and
how do you as a developer really fix that?
a person with a
You know,
large influence, let's say like a Maximilian or something, has a large influence over a lot of people. They could essentially influence the developers to make a change against something that they know is probably they're being disingenuous about their complaints.
yes,
They're saying like, oh, you should nerf Magneto because he has a two frame normal. Meanwhile, they're playing like, what's it called? Damn it, I forgot his name. Cable. He's playing Cable, and he's not
yeah,
addressing the broken things Cable can do.
yeah,
He'll never
exactly. Yeah.
reveal them until it's grand finals. It's
And
like,
that's a big issue. Yeah, that's why one of the main things that the arcade forum days, what they would talk about is that show it at they would call it show it at the nationals or show it at the tournaments, because they would keep certain tech.
mhm.
They would always allude to they would figure something out with the game, but they'll be like, "Yo, I'll show you at the tournament. Like, I'll win the tournament with this tech that I figured out." Now that doesn't exist. We're just putting all the tech out there, and we're trying to present it as like, "Yo, this is an issue. We shouldn't even be allowed to do this as players. This is broken." It's like, is it really broken? Has anybody put that theory to the test? Who won a fucking tournament with it? So far, the only person that really put their money where their mouth was Infiltration. He made a 3-hour Bible for a jury, and a jury won Capcom Cup. So I'm more than convinced that if Infiltration was not banned, he would have won Capcom Cup. He was more than knowledgeable with the character, and he knew the matchups.
So I have this on screen right now. Do you know what it is?
Oh, this game is godlike right here.
So
This shit is crazy. You see these cancels?
so this
Hold
is
on, hold on. You saw that cancel? You saw that cancel right there? Go back. I need you to replay that real quick. That cancel was crazy. Because he did the blade and then he shot him and then he canceled and he did the dash. Look, ooh. That's how fast he did. You don't even see it.
and he's got the other guy behind him. So the thing I wanted to address in this
So
game is
fast.
that this game had a very strong meta game, right? It was shotguns are very strong, right? And for a long time, everyone agreed shotguns are strong. Don't use anything else. And it came to the point where the community essentially became very, let's call it toxic. I forget what the actual word was from this, this era, the 2005 era of the internet. The word we used was not toxic, but essentially like a toxic environment of the whole community. Basically, if you played anything other than shotguns, you were bad at the game. If you played an automatic gun or revolvers, you were bad at the game. So when I would,
Why?
because shotguns were the best, and it was elitist. It was an elitist mentality, right? Shotguns were the best. So if you used those other
Wait,
weapons, you
so
were bad, right? And a lot
can I
of
stop you really quick? I apologize. Can I stop? So the meta was shotgun and blade, regardless. It wasn't
yes,
shotgun and machine gun. It wasn't shotgun and revolver. It was.
everyone.
I mean,
I can guarantee you,
it was
everyone
just.
in this game is
Oh, good
using a
lord.
shotgun.
So it was strictly shotgun and blade. No blade and revolver. No blade and
So
machine
you
gun. No
can,
blade and.
yeah. So you can have two guns in this game. You can have primary and a secondary, and everyone's primary and secondary were shotguns for the most part. And you might have some players who use the shotguns with the lower rounds that did more damage, or the average one.
Yeah.
That was essentially the meta for basically the entire existence of this game. And they're not wrong. Shotguns are strong. They're not wrong about that. They are strong. They are good. They hit. They do a lot of damage from close. They do a lot of damage from far away. You can make it so all the bullets hit in particular orders if you know the pattern. Like it's basically like counting
Yeah.
cards in a weird way. So the thing that happened is that the community became so toxic and elitist about this shotgun thing that anytime anyone came in and killed them skillfully with other weapon types, they would become like irrational to the and just kick you out of the rooms. And you were not
They
allowed. You
were
were
banning
not. You
players.
were. You're
Why?
basically not allowed to play low tier in this game and beat people. That's essentially what it was.
I'm. That's kind of based. I'm not gonna lie. I know that's kind of fucked up. Like they want no low tier play style, but that kind of was Marvel too. Even though you could play a little low tier, but it's like that's a waste of $1. And they'll look at you and tell you like, bro, you really want to pick Ryu? Like you see what I'm playing? Like I got Magneto, I got Cable, I got Sentinel. I'm playing reverse role.
Right, right.
Like come on, my
And
nigga.
in that
Like it's
in that environment, I might not play you another match. I might just leave, right?
yeah,
But
right
that,
after
but
that.
that's,
But
but
we'll
that's me
allow it,
leaving. That's
obviously.
not,
Yeah.
that's not me kicking you out of a public room with like 10 players, 6 players, who
Oh, good
who
lord.
may feel the way you feel, may not feel the way you feel. And so what happened in this game is that I became very proficient with revolvers, with double revolvers, and I essentially was playing a counter game to shotguns. Shotguns wanted to be close, I wanted to be far. I was essentially playing a zoner. Everyone else was playing, a shoto in a weird way, if that makes sense. And so
No, I
I
understand.
got kicked from almost every room I was in. It got to the point where I would sign in, I'd get in a room, I'd get kicked. I'd go in another room, I'd get kicked. The player base was declining so rapidly from like the elitist mentality and just the game aging overall, like people were aging out of the game. And it ended up killing the game, like that elitist mentality. And then for me personally, not being able to play the game because people were just kicking me all the time. And I'm not saying that I was the best, that I was like this
Yeah.
amazing player, that I was, in guild wars with the top guilds. Like no, I was being competitive with the top people.
hmm And it's interesting that you highlighted that, because they went with the supposed meta, but they discouraged the lower tier players. And Marvel 2, I don't want to say I had a similar story, but what happened is that everyone started becoming a little bit more knowledgeable of how the game was going to end up becoming. A lot of people realized that Magneto was getting faster out the years. They started picking him up more.
Mm-hmm.
Cable had his, air hyperbeam looper loops. So they started picking up more. Sentinel and the Storm meta started becoming a more apparent thing. Like you started seeing that more, just Storm and Sentinel, and then maybe Iceman or Storm and Sentinel and or Doctor Doom or Storm and Sentinel and another random character like that. That started becoming like the shell. Like people started understanding. Like it was. I don't know when did Captain Commando actually come in. I would have to ask Brett about that. But they do have the original footage of when a person picked the original Santhrax team. I know the team comes from Sanford Kelly, but I don't believe he was the first one to pick the actual team itself. If I'm correct. But that's besides the point. But yeah, like as the game progressed, everyone started gravitating towards the higher tier characters. But it's not to say that there weren't other people playing low tier characters and still getting results. I always mention VDO. VDO is a very well-known prominent player that plays Rogue, Colossus, and Ken, and he got results against these Magneto players, these Santhrax players, and a lot of other top players. So there were low tier heroes, and there are other low tier heroes out there now. I can't think of them right now at the top of my head, but
Mm-hmm.
it's besides the point. I'm trying to move along and so forth, but it's interesting that you highlight that, because like now, it's almost where it's just like the low tier doesn't really exist. It's like you just pick your top shit. That's it. We're not gonna go through the whole thing of trying to fucking learn the game. The technology's out there. Pick your top
Well,
shit.
the thing is too is that the games are so limited. Like you can't really find the things that make your low tier character viable, right? So like
Viable, yeah, those
if
viable options,
like
yeah.
let's say I'm playing 12 and third strike, and this guy's doing like uh he's doing very close crouch medium kick, and normally like a low tier character wouldn't have an answer for that. But 12, oh, light kick, crouch light kick, I hit you. And these little details that add up over time. It's like these things that make me be able to be competitive. Like for example, Knocker's here, right? Isn't he a low tier character?
Yeah, he's a low tier character, and believe it or not, there are certain people. Are you watching Medru? Yes, Medru is another a person that has showed the full extent of using Anacharis, you know. And he showed that he's a formidable opponent, you know. This guy's not to be fucking fucked around with, you
Because
know.
at the end of the day,
But
like if your matchup knowledge will, at certain levels of the game, if it's possible, it will beat whatever like top tier characters there are. Because even though I'm low
yeah,
tier, I have counter strategies to beat you. And if I play a little better than you, I'll win.
yeah. And now, you know, they just want that guaranteed win. They want that guaranteed option where it's just like, you know, regardless what, that's my win condition. That's it. I get that. I've acquired it. I have my meter. You know, I go win. I go up the bracket. You know, that level of thinking where it's just like, oh man, you know, I'm sweating. The other guy's sweating. We don't know what's going on right now. You know, we're fucking up the combo. That shit don't exist no more. You know, I think it don't. That chess, it's checkers now. It's all checkers.
Yeah. The strategy, the win condition is very straightforward. The win condition isn't outplay the opponent with my low tier character. The win condition is where can I drive rush, and the other guy's win condition is where can I drive rush.
Yeah, it's terrible, man. It's unfortunate. You know, is the technology truly regressing? You know, what's going on out here in these fighting
A lot of
games?
things are regressing. We're getting a lot of bloat. We're getting a lot of things that don't matter. A lot of time wasters. Like in general, like when you look at the grand scope of everything that's on the internet, like
Oh yeah,
everything is regressing.
yeah,
And people are
yeah.
gonna come at you with a caveat. Well, actually, this one thing is like, yeah, okay, sure, but the trend is what I just kind of explained. Like things are just things are not looking good, and I don't know if it's like people the people who create these platforms and these games. I don't know if it's just like they don't care as much as we would like them to, or if if they're just getting a paycheck, or if it's they actually they actually do agree with the principles they're setting forth, like making the game easier, making the platform more addictive, making rewarding people for certain types of behavior. Like I don't know. It's a can of worms, especially when I'm being so vague in general.
No, no, I understand. I understand. I mean, for our viewers, get a clue.
Oh,
no,
don't be rude. But no,
no,
I'm being
no,
very
no,
general and vague in that example.
no,
But
yeah.
you know, is it a cultural problem of the internet in general? I don't know.
Well, that goes into like the maturity and the overall growth,
We're all
you know, of
addicted
the
to
person.
dopamine. We all want satisfaction the fastest and the easiest way possible with the least amount of resistance.
And that's
It's
really
anti competitive in gaming. It's anti competitive in business.
in life, everything.
It, you know, fighting games are like a microcosm of like society. Games in general, I think. If I
No, no, no,
could put it in that example.
no, no. You're absolutely correct, man. You're absolutely correct.
Not absolutely, but I don't know. Just thinking out loud at this point.
I mean, I think we've covered a lot. To be quite honest, you know. I mean, we asked ourselves some hard questions. You know, are the games becoming too easier? You know, there's too much accessibility, too bad.
Are we biased?
You know the whole.
I think
Are we biased about it?
we're a little biased for sure.
I mean,
But
I
yeah, I guess we'll talk about this another time, like a few months down the
you know,
line.
I can't be biased, motherfucker. I'll tell you right now why I'm not biased because I'm an old man. I played all the games, all the new ones and the old ones. All right.
Cyberbots,
Yeah, Cyberbots, you name it. I played it all. All right. Star Gladiator, all the shitty Xbox 360 fighting games.
Dragon
I
Ball
don't know if
Z,
anybody remembers
Budokai.
all the Dragon Ball Z, Budokai. Yup, you name it. I played it all. All right. I see, and this is why I'm saying it because even those games, like in their primitive stages, even though they were easy, they still had that level of difficulty,
Mhm.
of playing. You know, there still was that chess level decision making. Like
Plasma
even like
Sword.
like even like in Budokai 3, yo, you had to save your meter. You couldn't just use your meter and go into like your full super. You know, had to save your meter.
Had to teleport
You had
7
to,
times.
yeah, you had to teleport 7 times exactly, and then go right back into neutral. And you're gonna tell me that game didn't have neutral? Both players would teleport 7 times and then go right back into neutral, and then go right back into meter building. Come on, man. Come on, and that wasn't a good game. Budokai wasn't a good. This is why I keep telling everybody: people do not know the definitions that they're using. They're using it incorrectly. If you're gonna say fucking neutral, that means both players are standing still. It's neutral. They're not doing anything. All right.
For me, I think
That's
neutral is the moment things reset to like mid screen or
yeah. And that's
and
why
only that moment.
and that's why I'm happy you brought up the fact that they were able to do the teleporting and Budokai, because that literally reset the neutral. And then from there, it was just like, oh, okay, do I block? Do I do this? Do I get the guard crush? Like, people don't know neutral, man. I'm happy that I brought up that game and you pointed that out, because I completely forgot.
That's why I'm here.
I completely forgot that mechanic.
That's why you pay me the big bucks.
Yes, the big bucks, the Capcom bucks, Cap bucks.
All right,
Man.
have you played any good games lately?
Good games? Like, I haven't played a single good game in quite some time. The only last good game I played was Death Stranding, and made me cry. Hideo Kojima is a genius. He predicted the future. It fucking scared me.
Are you being ironic?
I'm being serious, because that was the last good game I played. And that's why it fucking scared the shit out of me. That's why I was like, what's really going on? I didn't even beat the game, guys. I want you to know that. Like, I dabbled with it, and I was like, all right, I'm letting this shit go. And like, I stopped playing games, and then, Corona happened, and I was just like, yo, what the fuck did I play? Like, those couple months back. Shit fucking scared me.
So, spoiler alert. I'm gonna play this trailer a bit. I don't know if we get flagged for this.
What the fuck is this?
Pause it. This is a show on Netflix called The Gentleman. I've been watching. I got up to episodes. I finished episode 6. It's made me laugh out loud a number of times.
I thought this was a video game podcast. We're reviewing shows and movies now?
All media encompassing. We dive into fighting games because that's like, what we have a lot of ideas about. But all media, it's fine.
Next we should review Coomer content.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that one day, I'm sure. For the views, we're gonna have
all the good pornos, all the good hentai stuff.
We're gonna have big cleavages on the screen. All the nude mods are gonna be covered right here on this show. Yo lo digo te que aquí.
Aquí mismo, vamos a hacerlo todo.
But no, this is a very good show. Very good show. It's about crime and things. Excellent cast of characters. I recommend it. I haven't watched the full thing yet, but I've heard good things, and so far, episode 6 has not disappointed me.
Are you sure this is a good show? Because last time I've watched the show, Disney canceled it. And they did a rush job.
It was Disney. So it was terrible. You said Disney, so right out the gate, it goes.
Yeah. This is why I don't watch anything. I'm not. I don't know what's going on in the media world. Nothing in Netflix interests me. Nothing on Amazon Prime interests me. None of that shit interests me.
Well, if I can make a suggestion to you and to the viewers, check out the first episode of this. If you don't like it, you're not gonna like it.
And I'm gonna make a suggestion to the viewers. I want you to look at all the conspiracy videos on YouTube. Maybe there's something that you didn't.
It's the round Earth theory.
The round Earth.
They're theorizing that the Earth is round. I'm here to tell them no.
The Earth is round.
The Earth has always been flat.
Round.
They said it was flat before it was round. You came out of the blue talking about round Earth. Sorry, bud. Nope.
I'm gonna prove that the Earth is round. I know it's round. I'm gonna prove it. The way that the sun sets. There's verses about it in the Bible.
People are saying, that
In the Torah.
giraffes are real animals. Have you ever seen a giraffe in real life? Has a giraffe ever walked down your neighborhood? I don't think so.
I never seen a giraffe.
It's
Giraffes
all
don't exist.
CGI.
Stay woke. It's all CGI. and that's a scary future, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to get to a point where the show that you watch on Netflix is going to be entirely created using AI.
Using your thoughts.
Oh yeah, the Neuralink. Oh, good lord.
The age of the personal gestures is coming.
The personal gestures. Oh, we're not even going to get the cyber elves anymore.
Cyber elves.
Oh no.
Need cyber elves.
Yes, the cyber elves, man.
I'm gonna make the thumbnail for this video just giant boobies.
Giant boobies.
Just to see if we get clicks.
We're not gonna get clicks, man. They're gonna cancel this podcast. They're gonna cancel us.
It's gonna be the Chun-Li nude mod.
Oh, good lord.
Keep your eyes peeled. So, anything else? Anything else you want to tell the people about? Media in general, not just games.
We're sponsored by Gushers Runs.
Gushers Runs? What the fuck is that?
Go to your local smoke shop. Ask them if they got the Runs Gushers. Fire. Hot off the block. This is pain.
They happen to have any vitamins there? Like, Daddy needs his vitamins.
Yes, there are. The good vitamins. The good one. It'll put you out for like 5 hours. The good vitamin.
Zonked out of my mind playing KOF 15.
Oof. That's a good game. All right, put on my punk ending.
Punk ending? All right. Next week we'll talk about Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, we'll talk about Final Fantasy VII, definitely.
Stay tuned. Drop some comments under the videos. I will pull up the comments in the next video, and I'll read them. Whatever you got. It could be 12 pages long. I'll read it.
I'm about to read some comments right now, man.
We don't have any comments.
Read the comments on that video. Let's make those our comments.
Which one? Sajam?
Okay.
Yeah, Sajam, what about those comments?
This is the comments segment of the show where we read comments in our hours. We're stealing comments. They're gonna come after us. The Cap Cops.
What about that guy? He looked interesting. What did he say?
All right, this guy says we need right-handed versions of those. He's talking about hitboxes.
Right-handed vet. Wait, what?
We need right-handed versions of the hitbox. So you can move the characters with your right hand instead of with your left.
Next comment.
Oh god. These are horrible. These are just people talking about products. This is product placement. What are we doing?
What about that guy? Ask him.
These comments suck.
What about him? What about his comment? Read his comment.
Ooh.
That guy right there you're on.
G13 owner here. Excellent product. One of the best, if not the best, is the leverless on the market. I'm just doing ad reads. This is awful. These comments suck. Terrible. We need like a very contentious topic to read comments off of. But anyway, post your comments in the video. We'll read them. We'll read some other people's comments too. We'll have more time for that. And we'll talk about Final Fantasy VII and whatever else you want us to talk about. It don't matter. Many cards, you pick one, you level them up, okay?
Level them up.
Here we go.
Motherfucker. Fuck out of here.
That's right. Shit, bro. That random shit, man. Get the fuck out of here.
See you later, ladies and gentlemen.
Learn how to play the game. Stop doing that random shit, all right?
Yeah.
Stop doing that random shit.
Bye, everybody.